Chef Kevin Belton here. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Now, actually, it's cafe au lait day. Now, cafe au lait, coffee and milk. And what goes better with cafe au lait than beignets? So let's have some cafe au lait and beignets. Now, to start off on my beignets, if you come and look in our bowl, what we have here is a 1/4 cup of sugar and a packet of the dry yeast, the quick instant yeast, which is basically about 1/4 ounce. I have a cup of warm water. Now, the water can't be too hot because we want the yeast to activate. If the water is too hot, it will kill it. So this has to what they call bloom. So I'm just going to stir this together right quick. Basically, that yeast is going to start feeding off of that sugar. What's going to happen in about 10 minutes, it's going to all of a sudden look like it's starting to foam on the top. So let me just get our bowl in place on our mixer. Now, here I have 2 eggs, 1/2 cup of sugar, 1 cup of evaporated milk. We're going to whisk this together. And then we're going to add this mixture to our bowl once our yeast has started to bloom. So this is going to take about 10 minutes to bloom. Then we'll go ahead, add in our egg and our evaporated milk. Then we'll start getting in our flour to make our dough. So we'll see. Now, notice how it looks like foam, okay? That is the yeast starting to eat on that sugar. Okay, and that's what's going to give our dough some rise. So now let's go ahead, pour our egg mixture in. Remember, that was the egg, that was our evaporated milk, sugar, more sugar. Now we're going to get in 3 cups of flour. Okay, let's get in 3 cups of flour. Now, I've already measured our flour, so that's why I don't have to measure it exact now. Notice whenever you measure flour, you always level the cup, all right? So this should be about 3 cups right there. Let's get in our dough hook and start to get this mixed. All right. Now, while this starts to mix, after we get this completely mixed in, we're going to cut in a 1/4 cup of shortening. Now, I've got the shortening cut in. Let's get in the rest of our flour. And once we get the rest of this flour in, it's going to turn into a dough very, very quickly. And then all we have to do is turn it out and start to knead it. I tell you what, you know, this is just therapeutic. It just kind of feels so good. Plus, it feels good to be able to make something with your hands. Now, I've kneaded this for about 10 minutes. I wanted to get it nice and smooth. Had a little bit of flour on the counter when I started. And you know, this is where they always tell you, put it in a bowl, put it in somewhere warm so it can rise. Now, I like to go ahead and let it rise for a couple of hours, but then I like to put it in the refrigerator. To me, I find it's better once it's been refrigerated. So I'm going to put this in a Ziploc, and I'm going to put this where it's nice and warm. Now, when it's cool outside, find the warmest spot in the house. Whether it's the laundry room, that works. But this needs to rise for a couple of hours, and then I'll put this in the refrigerator, and I'll show you the one I already have done. Now, if you're wondering, in the refrigerator, the yeast is still growing. It's still eating on the sugar, but in the warm place, it really rises fast, where in the refrigerator, it'll continue to rise, but it's much slower because of the colder temperature. That's why you want a warm spot. So here, I've taken some off, floured our cutting board, and I've just rolled it out. Now, this is where it gets kind of personal. And you may have to try this a few times. How thick do you roll out your beignets? You don't want them too thin, and you don't want them too thick, because you're looking for anywhere from 1/4 inch to 1/8 inch, because when they fry, you want them to puff. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take a pizza cutter, kind of trim off our sides here. And you know, you can always tell, there's a couple ways you can tell when your oil is ready. You know, Grandma used to always take a little pinch of flour. See that little sizzle? Or you can always take a little piece of your dough and just drop it in and see how it comes up. So that means our oil is ready. So I'll take our pizza cutter, and it depends how big do you want your beignets, how big you cut them. So they don't really have to deep fry. You can just put them in oil, they'll come right to the top, and then they only take about roughly a minute to 2 minutes. We'll flip them over and then let the other side brown. And I'll just put them on paper towels to drain. Now this is the point where your parents would let you put your own sugar on. And do you put on a lot or do you put it on a little? Totally up to you. But look at that. A nice little dusting of powdered sugar. And look, let's press our coffee down. Our milk is hot. And basically, all it is milk and coffee together. And there we have a good old New Orleans traditional cafe au lait and beignets. I tell you what, won't that keep you nice and warm on a chilly afternoon? Hey, thank you for cooking with me today. Try these recipes. You see how easy the beignets are? You're going to be a big hit with the kids and their friends. Stay safe. Keep washing those hands. For WWLTV, I'm Chef Kevin Belton, and we'll see you soon.